It's another beautiful Sunday afternoon. This is Rubbin Minds. Welcome. My name is Ebuka Obiuchendu. Thanks a lot for joining us. Yes, the news has been dominated by visuals and all the talk from the APC's National Convention. There's a lot happening in politics. Turns out at the end of the day, principal officers for the party have been elected, or consensus has been reached by members of the party to pick their preferred candidates to fill those positions. So hopefully that puts everything in motion for the party and, of course, the opposition to now start facing the real task of selecting candidates for the election. I know the INEC deadline is around July for primaries to have been held, so it's going to be a very, very, very busy couple of months coming up for political parties across the country. But today is also Mother's Day. I know people always say, which of them now? Because there's multiple Mother's Days. Yes, but this is one of them. And we're going to be talking about that today and looking at all the celebrating more than looking at mothers and what this day means to them and how they generally celebrate. Of course, thanks to Knorr, we're going to be celebrating them very wholesomely today. And we're going to start off with this very interesting video about Daisy Yobo, who has made it a family tradition, to have a celebratory dinner with her kids every Mother's Day, something I think a lot of people should imbibe. Let's see what she had to prepare, of course, with Knorr, seasoning cubes, and we'll come back and start our conversation.
And every single year I get celebrated by my husband and children for Mother's Day. And something tells me this year will be more exciting.
My name is Jaden Yobo. My name is Lexi Yobo.
When she's cooking and when she's making videos.
When I play with her. Hugging her.
Pink.
Pink. Pink.
Her favorite food is rice. She loves it a lot.
Rice and stew. Rice.
When she's making money from her business and when she's getting more followers on Instagram.
When she cooks nice food, helping me.
To blow up on Instagram and for her business to go around the world.
My wish for mommy is for her to have a good business. Present. A new iPhone.
When she makes nice jollof rice, when she makes big ones too.
When she plays with me, buy me stuff. Makeup.
When I play games with her, like Call of Duty, wrestling, Spider-Man games.
I like studying with her. Traveling to England.
Happy Mother's Day, Mom, and thank you for being there. Thank you for supporting my life. Thank you for supporting my school, my studies. Thank you for being there for me. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy.
My daily life as a public figure inspires a lot of women and can be quite chaotic. But with the support of my husband and kids, it gets easier to reinvent myself as a working mom. It's all about making memories together here at the Yobo house. And Mother's Day is no exception. We have yearly Mother's Day celebratory dinner, specially seasoned with tasty Knorr cubes.
Happy Mother's Day!
We
Love you, Mom.
Aw, thank you.
This Mother's Day special is powered by Knorr on Rubbin Minds.
Yes, we're just talking of that. I feel like every Nigerian eats rice and stew on Sundays, but of course, thanks there to Knorr for that very moving clip. I'm joined here now by Dr. Chioma Nwakama, who's the founder, medical doctor at Dr. Sobo. How are you doing? Happy Mother's Day.
Thank you.
This is your first Mother's Day celebration.
Yes, it is.
Congratulations. How old is your baby?
2 months.
Ah,
Yes,
very, very, very fresh.
Very fresh.
How, is there anything different about today now that you're a mother for you? Does it hit you different?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, every other Mother's Day, because I'm in the reproductive health angle, I get to celebrate every other mother, including my mom. And of course, for me, I feel motherhood is not just in birthing, but also in raising and nurturing. So it doesn't even mean if you've had your own biological children. So, but I mean, this year has been very different for me because, as you said, it's hit home. And I think one word I would use to summarize it is surreal.
Yeah.
It feels like this is happening, this is not happening.
Yeah.
Is this real? Yeah.
Yeah. It's very interesting that you say that because, I mean, I have 2 children, but before I had 2 children, I mean, I have siblings. I had been an uncle for years, way before that, and I'm very close to my siblings. So I grew up around their kids and all of that. So I always thought, being a father, I'm ready for this. I know what it's going to be like.
Exactly.
But it hit me different when it becomes your own. You know, for someone like you who's in the medical field, you've been around mothers who have had children, you kind of understand what to expect. What was it like when it was now you, you know, having to go through that process? Because a lot of people, I've seen people make comments on social media saying, no, I mean, because people think giving birth, for example, is easy.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily appreciate the process. How different was it when you were now the one having to, you know, go through that particular process?
You know, it's good you had to ask me that question because I think that was one thing that was repetitive throughout my pregnancy period. I just kept telling people theory is different from practical.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember being in the labor room, I was like, it's because, I mean, the staff, they knew I was a medical doctor. So they're like, doctor, I said, no, don't doctor me. Like,
This is a different
this
process.
is a different process right now, you know. It was a time for me to get reflective, and I think it was very humbling for me to understand that women go through this. Some women go through this multiple times. I remember calling my mom, like, how did you do it? How many children? Like, I know it's just 4 children she had. Her mom had 7 or 8, and I think it's a process that made me appreciate my mother all over again. I've always appreciated her, but then I appreciated my mom on a different level. Yeah. And every mom out there, it's a holistic experience. And as I said, it's very humbling.
Yeah. I mean, I was there when my wife gave birth, and I would say it's probably the most humbling experience of my life. But you talk about your parents now, and I also hear people say women these days are not strong enough because our mothers, you know, went through this, had 5, 6, 7, 8, multiple children, and nothing happened. Why do we have 1 child now where all we do is complain? What do you think? Is there really a difference between how they handle things and now, or are we just more vocal about our experiences than maybe our mothers were?
You know, I'm going to answer that from a personal and then a professional angle, being that I'm in reproductive health. Yeah. I've had cause to interact with a lot of women, older generation and the younger generation, and one conclusion I've reached is, firstly, different experiences. I mean, economically, environmentally. I mean, back in the day, you know how they say it takes a community to raise a child. I think things were really relatively safer then. You had, most of us were raised by everybody in the family.
Around, on the streets even.
Yes, like everybody was raising us. But I think in our generation, not because it's our own fault or something we created. I won't go into the circumstances that created this.
The society is different now.
But the society is totally different. And seems everybody has to be hands-on in their work. You have to be hands-on in trying to make ends meet. And also people, I think education also plays a huge part because people, or enlightenment, you know, a lot more people know there's no, it's not a competition. Yeah. You have to have you need to have the amount of children, number of children, pardon, that you can take care of. It doesn't mean having 11 children makes you better than the person who has one, or makes the person who has one less stronger, you know,
or less
weaker.
a mother,
yeah, less a mother or even a father than the next person. It boils down to choice. Everybody's experience is different. So anybody saying that, I think, is myopic, and it doesn't take into consideration the differences that we all have as a society.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I would say.
Working in reproductive health, we still hear about child mortality and how, you know, for want of a better word, crazy things still are in this part of the world. What do you owe that to? Is it a lack of availability of help? Maybe not enough healthcare centers, or are our medical practitioners still not good enough to handle these things? Because we hear about, you know, it's Nigeria, it's Africa, all of the time ranking at the lowest on these things. What is the issue here, you know, with how we handle reproductive health here? Or do you still have parents or mothers who are not particularly, you know, conversant with how important prenatal care is or stuff like that? Or is it just a combination of everything?
I think in terms of education or sensitization, we're better than before.
Yes.
However, the system itself, I will blame the system. It's not about the healthcare workers or the quality of work they do. However, there's only little you can do if you don't have enough resources. So, and there's also little you can do if you have the knowledge. So you know you need to go get good antenatal care, but then maybe the clinics are not available to you, or even the clinics are not well equipped to give you the kind of care that you deserve. Then we also have to put into consideration finance. Some people can't afford, even though most of the primary healthcare centers, those things are subsidized to free, especially for the education part, you know. So that comes into play. So there's just a whole lot, but I will not blame individuals. I would say it's a system that over time has gotten worse. Like it doesn't seem to anyone like it's getting better. Yeah. But in terms of sensitization, part of what I do also is to educate women and let them know where and how to get care, you know, and the importance, because it's not enough to tell them go for antenatal care. Some people feel like people want to take our money again, you know. But then when you let them know how important it is and how helpful it is, then they would get to they personalize it and know that they are doing it for themselves. So the action is something that is more proactive. You're not forcing them, you know, to do this. And I believe if the government does its own part, plays its own part, we should get better, because the mortality rate is crazy. I think according to WHO, 1 in 22 women die, while in developed countries about 1 is to 4,900. So you see the gap is there, and we still have a lot to do as regards reproductive health care.
I mean, it's also interesting how often I now hear stories of people who have miscarriages, you know, and you also don't understand how hard it is to go through a process like that for a lot of people. Are we talking about it more now? Is that what's happening? Where I feel like everywhere I turn, there's someone talking about, oh, I had 2 miscarriages last year. Oh, I had 3 miscarriages in my time, you know. People are being more open about this thing. And why is it important for people to talk about this?
I love the way the conversation is going, honestly, because it's a straight truth. People are talking more. Because if you interact with the older generation, I always tell people, you know, you mentioned something in the beginning about people saying, oh, mothers of these days, they are not strong. You know, this person had 11 children and nothing happened to any of them and all. But that's not the complete truth. When you talk to some of our mothers, our grandmothers, and, you know, way back, they'll tell you, oh, yeah, I had 12 children, but I had 20 pregnancies, you know. So they don't talk about those things. They see it as a taboo. They see it as something you shouldn't let the next person know. No. You know,
maybe something wrong with you.
Exactly. Yeah, because they say if you say it, you know, it might not even affect you. It could affect your daughter coming, and they say, okay, it runs in the family. So there's just this secrecy about it. But I think ours is a generation of people who have understood that silence is not the way forward. Because when you speak, I personally, even though I'm a medical doctor, one of the things that helped me go through my pregnancy and the delivery that helped me better was resources online, people sharing their experiences. I remember devouring hours and hours of, you know, mom conversation, being on pages, silently going through, finding out, okay, what did this person do? Because I also had my own challenges. So I'm like, okay, now I'm in this fix. I know what to do medically, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
But there's sometimes you need to hear that someone has been through this and survived.
Yes.
Someone went through this and they're okay. And then it kind of gives you this reassurance that I can pull through. So we found out how important it is, and we're encouraging more people to do it. And there's that issue of, let's say, role modeling. When you see someone who you respect is doing this, it inspires the next mother, the next generation to also learn to speak up. So it's not because the miscarriages are getting more common these days. No, it's because more people are speaking up. And if proper research is done, I'm sure we would even find out that those things, in terms of prevention, have become more popular in our own generation, so there might even be a decrease as compared to the past.
People are just more vocal.
Yeah.
But speaking of silence now, something I've noticed that is a trend, especially in Nigeria, is when people are pregnant, they try not to put it up.
Yeah.
I'm talking of the social media generation now. You're trying not to post pictures of your pregnancy. You don't want anybody to know. Then one day you just put a picture and we're saying congrats. Where did the baby come from?
Yeah.
Why is that? Do you think it's a cultural thing? Why is that? Did you do that as well?
I did that.
Okay.
And I think I would say is different strokes for different folks, right? Yes, there's a cultural thing where people say, oh, don't do this, don't. But me personally, I am not someone who, I'm very careful about what I put out there. That's my nature. Yeah. So I think that's why I said it's different for different people. I just know, I like people. I like being in charge of the number of people I let into my space and what I let you see.
It's a very personal choice.
Yeah, it's a personal choice. It was for me. And I wanted to appreciate the process. It was my first. I wanted to just appreciate the process without interruption. I know that I'm already out there in the social media space, and everybody who needed to know knew. Everybody who needed to know knew. So it wasn't like I was hiding. I mean, I was going for events. I was doing everything I was meant to do. I was present till the last day, at work and all that. So it wasn't a matter of, hiding. While some people, it's cultural. Some people, they say it's spiritual. You have to keep it. If not, the enemy will come. You don't know your village. You get it. And also, some people have experienced, have had some really painful experiences in the past where they just say, you know what, I want to go through this alone. Whatever happens, so at least I know.
I don't need to explain.
I don't, So, and I feel everybody should respect that. And if you see someone who is also out there, because I see people who are out there and others are saying, not everything should be on social media. No, I feel we should respect everybody's choices at the end of the day. So if you want to put it out there, fine. If you want to keep it to yourself, fine. Whenever it is, we're happy for you. Congratulations.
Exactly. Before we go now, I mean, your baby is 2 months old, first-time mother. One of the reasons why Mother's Day is a big deal is because, people say, let's celebrate mothers, because their lives change when they have children. Yeah. It's been 2 months for you. How much has your life changed?
I was telling someone yesterday, I can't remember what my life was before these 2 months. It feels like I even just found out it was 2 months, because the 2 months feels like 2 years. Yeah. My life has changed a whole lot. It's like everything I'm doing, I'm not thinking of myself again. Yeah. I'm thinking first, my child. How are these choices going to affect my child? How moving forward? I mean, just coming here.
Yeah. It takes a lot of planning.
Oh, wow.
Yes. You can't just get up and go anymore.
It took nights of, like hours of expressing, because I'm doing the exclusive breastfeeding. So I had to express and keep and freeze.
For the number of hours you won't be there. Yes.
And still, as I'm talking to you, I'm still worried. I'm hoping there's no traffic going back. He will not starve. All those kind of things. And it's a lot. It's a lot, but the truth is, I can't exchange it for any experience on earth. I'm grateful for it, and it's in a lot of ways made me a better person. I think I'm more patient. It has worked on a lot of my values as a person, and it's an experience I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, well, congratulations, and once again, happy Mother's Day to you. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
With everything. How many more are we expecting? Don't mind me, it's not my business. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Please don't go away.
Think about it.
All right, welcome back. Yes, we're still celebrating Mother's Day. As you saw in that video, yes, thanks to Knorr, we are celebrating our mothers, and we have two more guests here from two generations to help us understand if there's a shift in how motherhood works these days. I have here with me Bomi George, who you just saw in that video, CEO and founder of the Shredder Gang. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, Engineer Mayen Adetiba, who's the past president, Association of Consulting Engineers and Association of Consulting Engineers in Africa, and former vice president, National Society of Engineers. Thanks a lot for being here today.
Thank you.
Happy Mother's Day to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, your kids are how old?
My first is 6, almost 7. My second is 5, about to be 5.
So you've been in this for
A little bit.
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
I mean, not like but
Not like
for a little bit. Yeah. How have things changed over the last couple of years, appreciating motherhood? Because we had a guest earlier who's a first-time mother. She's literally in the crunch of it, you know, trying to get through that early phase. How have you settled into motherhood?
I think for me, I've always wanted to be a mom. It's something that I've always looked forward to. But I don't think anything truly prepares you for motherhood because, I mean, the first time they put the baby to my breast, and he was like, "Mwah," I was like, oh my God.
What is going on here?
People can share their experiences with you, but there's something about experiencing it yourself. Yeah. To be quite frank, I think I had kind of a smooth journey, to be honest, because I had my mom. My mom was very hands-on. She has always been hands-on since I was a kid. And so that didn't change when I now started to have my own children. And so my mom was there, you know, giving me the pointers that I need, how to bath the baby, how to put the baby to breast, you know, how to burp and things like that. So I say that my mom did really help me a lot. Yeah. And so that kind of helped me settle. And even, you know, transition, because I had my baby away, coming back to Nigeria, she followed me. She followed me and she stayed with me for a full month, just so that I could settle. And to be quite frank, I say I kind of learned on the job as well, because there's something, they can teach you, but this is my own journey. Yeah. This is my journey, and I am navigating it in my own way. So I would say that I have settled over time. I've made my errors, many errors, but, you know, I've done a lot as well.
And you learn from them.
And I'm learning from them, yes.
So, I mean, you are from, I don't know, you have 3 kids.
Yes, I do.
At least 4 decades is how long you've been a mother, which is, you know, from a really different time from now, you know. And like I said with the girls earlier, we hear a lot of people say, oh, women these days, you know, you guys are so weak and soft. Is that a true statement? Has motherhood changed in any way? Now, what was different in your time?
Okay, yeah. My first
with raising
kid,
children,
actually, you know, Kemi is 42. And I think in our own time, we had so much support system.
Yes, it was more a community.
You know, it was more community. Not only that, our mothers, because don't forget that in those days, retirement age used to be like 45 from work. So but they were still full of energy. So they were prepared to come stay, let you navigate around motherhood. And I was particularly very busy because from like my late 20s, I started getting very much involved in the engineering society programs. And so I needed that support group. And my mother played a very, very significant role in that. Because whenever I was about to travel, I didn't need to just, I always had 2 house helps. But my mother was always there. You know, my mother would be there maybe the day before I would travel with my husband or alone. She'll be there a day before and stay until I get back. So I wasn't that worried if something would happen or could happen. The young girls of nowadays, sorry I'm calling you girls because, you know, I want you to feel, you know, young. You know, they have to cope with much more than we did. And the country and the society is getting so, I don't know how to put it, scary. You don't know what to see. I see so many things on the internet and I feel bad. How are they coping? I'm begging my daughter, please, quickly have your children. Let me help you when I'm still strong. Because, and you can't believe what they could do. What these house helps or drivers or whatever. Is so low. It's so low. It's so low about anything. I was telling one of my friends, I said, these days you don't know when you sleep You have a husband, nowadays husband, you sleep only with one eye closed, probably, with all that is happening. So, it's just that the entire society is changing.
Yeah.
But then, the support group we used to have in abundance
it's not
there anymore. Not only that, I think even the house helps we had were God-fearing. They were also very good. They didn't come with this wicked and mischievous, some of the things I see on internet that's happening to our little babies, like you spank a little baby.
Sometimes to death. You see very crazy stories, yeah.
And even your house help, really, really slapping and beating your baby back and forth in the house when you are away. That's scary.
Yeah.
And you will not know, because they will tell them, if you say anything, we will kill you. We will do this. Your mother won't believe you. So we have to be careful. They don't have that support group.
Unfortunately.
And I'm begging mothers my age, please
be
there for your daughters, because that's all we can do. It can be very stressful.
Yeah.
It can be.
So something I wanted to touch on, which you kind of have gone into, because for both of you, as much as you're raising 2 children, you've raised 3. You were having an amazing career. You had a stellar career in engineering. So let me start with you now, since you're still kind of in the thick of it. I see you on social media, you're constantly working, but you're also very family oriented. And it's a very cliche question, but a lot of people still find it very hard to juggle. That's motherhood, especially at this stage where children need you. I was watching the hearings for the new Supreme Court judge who's supposed to be passed in the United States. And she apologized to her daughter there, saying, I know I wasn't there enough, which is probably a guilt that a lot of mothers feel. How do you handle that?
I think for me, as opposed to saying I found the balance, I found the rhythm that works for me. And I think that the seasons are different. So the seasons were different when my children were babies, right? And I had a small business then. It was a smaller business, and I had the opportunity to work from home, where now with COVID, thankfully, most people can work from home now. But my children could be right beside me, and I could be getting to work. And of course, that changed as they went into toddler stage. I had to be, there was a little bit more independence in terms of, okay, now they can, maybe talk, they can say a few things. And now it's different because they are school age and they can talk and they can tell me everything. But I think that finding, what she has said is the same thing, finding the right support system. And it's very hard, to be very honest, because like she said, these days it's hard to find good people because everyone's ambitious. Everybody wants to make something of their lives. So a lot of the younger girls who before would, go into being a nanny, going to be a governess, now they want to make more money, right? I think social media has a lot to play with that as well. And so finding the right fit in your home is very, very key. And I think that's what I found from the start. Also finding that the baby nanny and the toddler nanny, for me, were very different. So looking for this particular person that had certain type of qualities for baby and then for toddler and then for school age. So for me, I think it's really about the support that I've gotten so far. I think I'm really fortunate to have really amazing people that work for me. Since my children were babies, I have always run into great people, and my mom as well, when she can once in a while, because she doesn't live in Nigeria, but sometimes she comes down and she helps me so I can take a vacation or do something. So I think that support is actually what has really helped me, because for me, and I speak for myself, my family is very important to me. Like you said, I'm a very family-oriented person, but I also want to succeed in life. I want to make money because, school fees is not cheap, right? So that's very, very important for me.
Yours is even different because back in the day, we had a few career women, but it was more the norm then to take a back seat and stay home and raise children.
Yes.
Even when you didn't do that, you had to take a career that was convenient.
Yes.
You were in the thick of it with engineering, from being, I think you were the first engineering graduate.
From the South.
From the South in Nigeria, female.
And there were maybe about 10, 11, 12 of us then.
Yeah.
So it was Yeah,
Yeah, and then you had all this, I mean, besides even your own personal businesses and practice, you also ran associations in the thick of all of this, you know. It's very hard for people to understand from that generation, the 80s and the 90s, how you were able to do that. I know you said family helped, but
family
how
helped.
did you come to that decision to say, I could
You
still do
see,
this?
at that time, particularly those of us who were in engineering, we felt we had to work twice as hard as the men. Of course, we were, allocation of time was very, very important. And the kids got to appreciate the fact that mommy has to be busy, okay? But what I did not let to suffer is paying attention to my kids.
Yeah.
And I did, you won't believe it, the little time I had, particularly during their exams, I will go over their homeworks, their exams with them, their review, yes, everything with them. Even sometimes I'll be walking to the car with them, I'll still be asking them questions because before the driver takes them away. It's not, I won't claim to be superstar. No. Anybody that tells you they can 100 feet, no, that fellow. But we make do with what we have. We also try as much as possible to allocate enough time that won't be at the detriment of any. To each, to career, to family. I think what suffers a little bit is our personal needs. Because we now tend to cheat on that. We don't give ourselves the...
your me time.
The me time. You don't have enough for yourselves to do those things that you want to do at least up to 50%. Because you feel guilty, you have kids that you have to really, really pay attention to. And then you also have your career because you want to succeed. I once told my MD when he didn't give me the kind of medical scheme that he gave to the male engineers, and he said I said, look, you didn't employ me as a female engineer. I must. Yeah, you employed me as an engineer. So I must get the same scheme. And I said to you, so I have to work as hard as them, if not better than that fellow. Because, if I'm asking for the same thing that is due the male engineer, I should also give the same thing or better. And most times I want to believe that female engineers, they do a lot better than men.
So, but I think we have very limited time to go, but I just want to talk about, there's people who don't have the privilege of, like you said, family being there or able to afford help. Are we ever going to get to a point where a welfare system, for example, helps women and understands that, this is not an easy task? Housewives, being a housewife is a full-time job. I know that now more than ever, being married and understanding what it takes to raise a child. So you understand that if you want to stay at home to raise a child, it is a job. Some countries have started doing that where, you get a full year off work so that you can come back at any time. Do you think we're ever going to get to that point? Is this something that's realistic here? Because not everybody can afford help or has help around them. Yeah.
You see, something that I have seen happening, of course, I have grandkids now. Junior, Dele Adetiba Junior, he has 2 boys. One is about 9, the other one is 2. And what I have found, I know it's a bit tough and can be a bit difficult for parents to feel they are letting go. Some of the 2 grandkids started school pretty early. One started at 4.
To get back to their lives.
Went to school. The last one went to school at 4 months.
Wow.
I think the first boy, who is 9, he also started pretty early. And you see, but over there they allow you to work a lot from home. My daughter-in-law, who is like a daughter to me, she spent most of the past 2 years at home. With
I think it's kind of what she was saying, sorry, where you said working from home now makes it a little easier to cope.
You know, were you working for someone or working for yourself? Because if you're working for yourself, yes, you can work from home.
You can take the time off.
But if you're working for somebody else, you know,
You have to talking at the same time.
yeah. So they may not take it. As a matter of fact, there are some companies who don't like employing women because they will take off for, go and have a baby, go and have this and all that. So they are usually, they don't see it as something they want to really encourage. But I think, you know, there should be a support system, even in the, I think over there they are becoming women friendly or family friendly. You know, they have crochet in the offices. Time for mothers to go breastfeed or even bring the kids in. So I think we should start adopting some of those things because it's not easy. It can never be easy for the woman, the young woman, because, you know, sometimes it can affect some women mentally. There are some women who go mental from having kids, you know.
Before we quickly go now, what's the best part of motherhood for you?
I think for me, it's all the love, pure love, that I get to give and receive. Because the love of a mother is pure. And the love of a child towards the mother is pure as well. It's sacrificial. And so I think that's the best. No. Like I said in the beginning, yes. Like people can tell you about it, but you have to experience it. Because the dynamic between a child and a mother is just so unique. So I think that's what it is for me.
Thank you very much to both of you. Like I said, I think the biggest, you know, lesson for me in both of you is that you can actually have both. Maybe we have to figure out how to not take care of ourselves in the middle of all of this. Happy Mother's Day again to both of you.
Thank you so much.
And all the best. We'll take another break and come back. Please don't go away. All right, welcome back. Yes, we're still celebrating Mother's Day, thanks to Knorr for this. But I have a guest here with me, Keside Anosige, who's a writer and communications expert, to talk about things from a different angle. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Ebuka.
Yes, you are a brilliant writer.
Thank you.
And you write quite a bit about motherhood, but from a different perspective. So give us some sort of perspective on how you view a day like this.
It's a very interesting, it's a very interesting question because I think I lost my mother before I turned 4. So my life basically has been shaped by her absence, and on some level, I think my interest in writing has just been as a way to understand the state of my life, you know, and the day has always been very difficult for me, you know, and it's very interesting that today I'm thinking, you know, it feels different because I'm more likely to celebrate her these days than to mourn her, in a sense. And I'll tell you why, because when I was much younger, I wasn't comfortable with the idea of being unmothered. It felt like something that was done to me. It felt like the world had sort of like, you know, ganged up against me, and I was lacking something that was fundamental, although not by anything that you could lay hands on. It was just a feeling, right? And you know that on this part of the world, we're quite performative when it comes to like Mother's Day or like Mother's Sunday. You know, I can't even count how many Mother's Day we have in a year. So it's having
to take it.
Yeah, so it's having to face that reality back to back to back to back to back. So it was always difficult for me to comprehend and navigate until my mom passed when she was 28, a week after she turned 28. And it was when I turned 28 that I realized that, wait a minute, this is heavy. And it's heavy from another perspective, and I'll get to it. Before 28, I used to feel like her death was something that was done to me and done to my siblings and my family, and you know, it's just so difficult and so unfair. And then I turned 28 and I started to view her death as something that was done to her, a death that also happened to her, because I think that sometimes we forget that death happens to everyone, even the dead, right? And I was thinking to myself that here's this woman who is 28 and married and, you know, 4 children and just like that, you know. Of course, there are parties that she wanted to attend, or shoes or clothes that she wanted to do, plans that, she had. And I immediately felt a sense of loss on her behalf. And that shaped my perspective. I started to think that, I'm so sorry that you had to go so early. I'm so sorry that you had so many dreams and so many things that you wanted to achieve that you couldn't achieve. And that changed how I respond to it. That changed in the sense that I started to view it as a day rather to honor this ultimate sacrifice, to look at it as she's done this remarkable thing of, having children, because I think motherhood is remarkable. And she's no longer here to take stock of it or to monitor, her investment or whatever. So I would just make sure that my life is a direct response to the gratitude I feel for that decision. Yeah. So my experience has changed.
Yeah. It's hard to say, how have things changed between when she was here and now, because you were so young, you hardly have any memories, I believe, How different, maybe with going to school and having friends who talked about mothers and all of that, was your home, did you feel a difference, without her being there?
Not particularly, because my father, my father is an excellent man. He was very, very hands-on, very present, and I wasn't made aware of it in any way that he couldn't manage. But the fact of the matter is that she was not there, and for that reason alone, I would always miss her. I find the question to be quite careless. The question when people ask me, "Do you miss your mother?" I think
yeah, of course.
I think it's well-meaning, right? Yeah. But it's careless because, of course, I would always miss her, even if it's just missing the life that I don't get to have because of her absence. So I would always, there would always be that, right? But I never felt that there was a fundamental lack in the structure of my family or the structure of my well-being that, could be pointed to the fact that, oh, he doesn't have a mother. Yeah. And I think my dad was very mindful of that. He knew that there was a lot of pressure on him to do the work of two people. And I think that he did a great job.
Yeah. I think maybe the different question would be, does it get easier? Because I know my best friend lost their mom a couple of years ago. I'd always wondered, does the weight ever go away?
So I don't think that it does completely.
Yeah.
I tend to think of grief as a needle, right? A needle is quite light, but it can harm you or it can pull blood, right? So I think of grief as a needle that you carry in your pocket. So it's very light that you don't feel the weight of it, right? And, you go about it, you go to work, you meet your friends, you have drinks, you do whatever it is that you have to do as a human being, you get to it. And then randomly you put your hand in your pocket searching for money, your wallet, your car key, and
you get pricked.
And it's there. And then you feel the wave of it. You feel that instant sharp pain. And that's the thing that never changes. It's very exact in its reoccurrence. So if it's stabbing you on Monday, it's how it will stab you in 2 years' time and whatever. So it doesn't change per se, but it gets easier per se. It's a different thing. And also grief is a very private experience. So it's different from me. It's different from people. But I find that for me, it's I have to sit with it so it doesn't scare me when it resurfaces. I have to sit with it. So that's why I've gotten comfortable talking about, the whole subject matter. Help? Yes, actually. I tell people that I tell people that I don't know if I would have been a writer if I wasn't searching for my mother in some capacity. I think I went really insular as a child. Yeah. So I read a lot of books. And I don't know, it never occurred to me then that I was searching for anything or, trying to make sense of my world or the world or whatever. But I think for me, in trying to understand the world, I was also trying to understand my mother through writing. So I think, yes, my writing does help. And that's why she's one of my most, she's the subject matter that I am gravitated towards.
Yeah. So on a day like this now, do you now celebrate her? Since you said you passed the point where you...
Absolutely.
The perspective is different.
Absolutely. Now. And it's I cannot believe I'm on a show.
Talking about it.
Talking about it, right? Because it was something that, I'll tell you a secret, when I was in high school, very few people knew that my mom had passed. It was something that I wasn't proud of in a way. And I think it's also the culture of not talking about grief, right? I think a lot of people don't talk about grief, so it then becomes something that people don't have the tools to either communicate or to receive. So I just never really talked about it. But then obviously, started to get older, life started to happen, and I realized that it's part of my identity. It's in my DNA. I can never undo it. So on a day like this, I then use it as an opportunity to remember and to honor it and to think about just how truly selfless it is to be a mother. It's, you're choosing to do something and you don't know what is on the other end. You don't know if this child is going to be a serial killer, an armed robber, a rapist, a terrorist.
Anything could
happen. And then you're deciding to have faith in, you know, in yourself. And it's, for me, that's something worth celebrating, regardless of whether or not the person is alive or dead.
Thank you very much, Cassidy, for sharing your story today. And I mean, keep writing.
Thank you.
Because we definitely enjoy it.
Thank you.
And thanks for joining us. And once again, happy Mother's Day to all our mothers out there. And of course, to my wife, Cynthia Obi Uchendu, thank you very much for the 2 lovely kids that we share. I'll see you next Sunday.